Harkening back to the exciting serial days of the 1930s, I am pleased to present
Presenting for the first time in radio the amazing interplanetary adventures of Flash Gordon.
the planet Mungo was so nefarious that it was only the brave men and women of Astley who were able to keep this program on track.
What movie was that?
These are from the Flash Gordon series.
Oh, wow.
And I'll point out before we go into this next slide, Flash Gordon was played by Buster Crabbe, Dale Arden, Gene Rogers, the merciless Emperor Ming, Charles Middleton, and Dr. Hun Zarkov, Frank Shannon. I prepared some slides that are kind of backdated just to get us into the month, since we started a little late. Conjugation of the moon and Venus occurred on December 4th. This event was visible to the naked eye, but was even more spectacular with binoculars or a small telescope. Something to keep in mind when watching the nights of December. This is, of course, aside from meteor showers, which are best observed by looking from a comfy chair. Jupiter reaches perigee at around the time when it passes the Earth in its orbit. At this time, the Sun, Earth, and Jupiter lie in a straight line with the Earth in the middle. Mars entered retrograde on December 6th, and this reverse pattern will last until February 23rd. It started in the constellation Leo and will finish in Cancer on February 23rd. On December 6th, Mars halted its eastward movement through the constellations and turned to move westward instead. This retrograde motion is caused by the Earth's movement around the Sun. As the Earth circles the Sun, our perspective changes, and this causes the apparent position of the objects to move from side to side. So that there will be no discussion, creative license will be used in the depiction of certain frames, such as meteor showers, etc. Not every event will be visible just the way it's rendered. That's called creative license, and you should all be aware of that by now. And that's all Ming has to say about that. The S Hydra meteor shower, which is tonight, marks the peak of the S Hydra meteor shower, which began on December 3rd and will be visible until December 15th. This is a low volume shower producing a rate of about 3 shooting stars per hour. The moon is in Aries and is only 4 days away from full. This will present significant interference viewing the meteor shower. The moon will reach the closest point along its orbit to the Earth and will appear slightly larger than at other times. The moon's distance from the Earth varies because its orbit is not perfectly circular. It is slightly oval-shaped, tracing out a path called the ellipse. On December 13th, the moon and M45 will make a close approach, passing within a mere 9.8 arc minutes of each other. The moon will be 12 days old. The moon will be at a magnitude of negative 12.7, and the Seven Sisters will be at a magnitude of 1.3. Both objects lie in the constellation Taurus. they will be close enough to fit within the field of view of a telescope, will also be visible with the naked eye or through a pair of binoculars.
8:23 p.m.
The Geminids meteor shower will be active from December 4th to December 17th, producing its peak on December 14th. The shower will be visible in our area from around 5:30 p.m. until shortly after 6:30 a.m. From our area, the radiance of the shower will appear at a peak altitude of 82 degrees above our horizon. It is estimated that you may be able to see up to 118 meteors per hour at the shower's peak, depending on dark skies. Unfortunately, the moon will be 99.8% full on the 14th, and this will be visible most of the night. Also on this date, the moon and Jupiter will make a close approach, passing within 5 degrees, 25 minutes of each other. The moon will be 13 days old. The moon and Jupiter will also share the same right ascension, with the moon passing 5 degrees, 28 minutes to the north of Jupiter. This is known as a conjunction. From New York City, the pair will be visible in the evening sky at around 4:47 p.m., 9 degrees above your eastern horizon. As the dusk fades into darkness, they will then reach their highest point in the sky at 11:13 p.m. at 71 degrees above the southern horizon. The pair are too widely spread to fit in the field of view of a telescope or binoculars, but we will be visible to the naked eye. The full moon on December 15th is commonly known as the cold moon, a Mohawk name which conveys the frigid conditions of the time. The Mohicans also called this the long night's moon, as it rose above the longest nights of the year, shortly before the winter solstice. Also known as the Yule moon, the ancient pagans held it in high regard, since it was the last full moon of the year and the last full moon before Yule. Farmers have referred to this December moon as the Yule moon thereafter. The Como Berenice meteor shower will be active from the 12th of December to the 23rd of December, producing its peak rate of meteors at around December 15th. The radiant point culminates, the highest point in the sky, after dawn at around 6 a.m. And so the shower is likely producing its best displays just before dawn, when its radiant point is the highest. From our area, the radiant point of the shower will appear at a peak of 67 degrees above our horizon and is estimated to produce 2 to 3 meteors per hour. The full moon will not set until 7:47 a.m., making observation a little more difficult. Wow, there's a lot happening with the moon and Mars on the night of December 18th. For one thing, Mars will make its closest approach to the moon, passing within a mere 52 arc minutes of each other. They will share the same right ascension, which is conjunction, with the moon passing 54 minutes to the north of Mars. The moon will be at a magnitude of minus 12.6 and Mars at a magnitude of minus 0.9. Both objects will lie in the constellation Cancer. In some parts of the world, Canada, Alaska, and parts of Russia, the moon will appear to pass in front of Mars. This is known as an occultation, but unfortunately will not be visible from our area. The moon and Mars will be a little too close, a little too widely spread to comfortably fit in the field of view of a telescope. Will be visible to the naked eye or through a pair of binoculars.
Hey, Matt, I see the Mars as big as the full moon.
What's that?
I see Mars as big as the full moon. You always hear that, that when the Mars is the closest to Earth, it would be it would be as big as the full moon.
No,
Yeah,
It's
I'm
probably
gonna,
not.
it's a joke. I mean, with the Hawks, almost every time when Mars comes close to Earth, and you hear this on the internet that no, Mars is gonna be as big as the full moon.
I believe that happened in 2003, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Right.
So there it is, right there on the screen.
There we go.
There's proof.
But that was only visible from Antarctica, okay? And that's why not many people have seen it.
Yeah.
On a more serious note, Matt, you had said that for us, yeah, the moon won't occult Mars. I think in January.
Yeah,
I forget
correct.
the
Yes,
date.
January. Yes, I think January 13th, I believe.
Okay.
But I will talk about my March 2025 talk on January 8th, and it will include the occultation and will be visible from here.
Okay, good, good. Yeah, I had to pull pictures, obviously, that represented what it was supposed to be. And here we get back into poetic license. So, Ming the Merciless has spoken on that one.
You can't say we weren't warned.
You can't say you weren't warned. Hang on, I gotta find out where I am in the slides. There we go. The Leonids Minods meteor shower will be active from December 5th to February 4th, producing its peak rate of meteors on the 19th of December. From our area, the radiant point will appear at an altitude of 79 degrees above the horizon. On the basis of this, you may be able to see up to 4 meteors per hour. The moon in the constellation of Leo will, however, be only 4 days past full. So this presents significant interference throughout the night. Mercury will reach half phase on its December-January morning appearance. It will be shining brightly at a magnitude of 0.3. From this intermediate half phase called dichotomy, it will also appear farthest from the sun at its greatest elongation. From our area, this appearance will be well placed, but tricky to observe, finally reaching a peak altitude of 16 degrees above the horizon at sunrise on the 23rd. On this day, when the sun's annual journey through the constellations reaches its most southerly point in the sky, it will be in the constellation Capricornus at a declination of 23.5 degrees south. This day is counted by astronomers as the first day of winter in the Northern Hemisphere. I didn't add any additional information on the Earth's meteor shower. I think I had in one of my set of notes, or if I had run the presenter's view. But there you have it, guys. On the 22nd, Earth's meteor shower will peak. If anybody has anything to add on times or directions, that would be helpful. Feel free to chime in. All right, moving right along. As seen from our area, Mercury will reach its highest point in the sky in its December 24th to January 2025 morning apparition. It will be shining brightly at a magnitude of 0.4. From our area, this apparition will be well placed, but nonetheless tricky to observe, reaching a peak altitude of 16 degrees above the horizon at sunrise on the 23rd. Observable only for a few weeks each time it reaches greatest separation from the sun, referred to as greatest elongation. At this time, Mercury is more favorably viewed than on others. As we said, it will reach a peak December 23rd, reach its peak on December 23rd, and is farthest from the sun on December 25th.
Is that in the east or west?
This is good question. And again,
It's the morning
Slide says
apparition.
west.
oh yes, since it's morning hours, it would.
Yeah, it's a morning apparition. Mercury just passed the inferior conjunction just the other day, and that will be visible. The second half of December will be visible in the morning sky. It should be favorable.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Frank. The moon will pass in front of Antares Alpha Scorpia, creating a lunar occultation visible from northeastern French Polynesia. How wonderful. Although the occultation will be only visible across parts of the world, the moon is so close to the Earth that its position in the sky varies by as much as 2 degrees across the world. A close conjunction between the pair will be more widely visible. Unfortunately, the occultation will not be visible from our area.
Yeah, is it even possible to be seeing Antares at this time of the year?
Say again?
This is more a general question for everybody. Is it even possible to see Antares at this time of the year? I know it's in the evening, it tends to be summer sky and very low. So, I'm wondering if it might be not below the horizon.
Probably from here, yeah.
I think Antares will be visible in the morning twilight around December 28th. Yeah, it will be yeah, it will be visible in the twilight, morning twilight. But the occultation, I don't know exactly what time will be. If it's visible from here, Matt.
Occultation occurs.
Yeah,
No, I'm not sure exactly when the occultation occurs.
from what Matt said previously, it's not visible in this part of the world.
Okay.
The open star cluster NGC 2232 is at a magnitude of 4.2, located in the constellation Monoceros. It will be well placed in the evening sky in the coming weeks. On the 28th, it will reach its highest point in the sky at around midnight local time, and on subsequent evenings, it will culminate 4 minutes earlier each day. From New York City is visible between 7:49 p.m. and 3:53 a.m. It will become accessible at around 7:49 when it rises to an altitude of 18 degrees above your southwestern horizon. It will reach its highest point in the sky at 11:51, 44 degrees above your southern horizon. It will then become inaccessible at around 3:53 when it sinks below 18 degrees of the southwestern horizon. It is, of course, best viewed with a telescope. The Rosetta Nebula C49 is at a magnitude of 9.0, also in Monoceros. It will be well placed in the evening sky in the coming weeks. On the 29th of this month, it will reach its highest point in the sky at around midnight, and on subsequent evenings will culminate 4 minutes earlier each day. From our area, it is visible between 7:12 p.m. and 4:30 a.m., becoming accessible at around 7:12 when it rises to an altitude of 18 degrees above our eastern horizon. It will reach its highest point in the sky at 11:51 at 54 degrees above the southern horizon and become inaccessible at 4:30 Monday morning when it sinks below 18 degrees of the western horizon. Again, the best visible with a telescope. So now we come to famous astronomers that were born in December. It should also be noted that in doing my research, I found that there are 25 astronauts who were also born in December. And if you want that information, you can look it up on Google. But finally, we wind up with famous astronomers whose birthdays fall in December. Brahe has been called the father of modern observable astronomy, setting the stage for revolutionary ideas and charting 800 stars without the use of a telescope. Brahe's data was critical for the formulation of Johannes Kepler's law of planetary motion. By the way, it should also be noted that, oh yeah, here we go, no less than 25 astronomers have birthdays in December. How's that for apples? Johannes Kepler was also born in December, one of the most significant representatives of the scientific revolution. He literally defined the rules of planetary motion. His work was key in providing evidence for Nicholas Copernicus' theory that the sun, not the earth, was at the center of the solar system. Things awaiting us in the next chapter of the Skies of January. Here's an exciting preview of the first heavens for 2025. Prepare to be dazzled by as our adventure continues. As we begin the year, we find the moon and Venus giving a spectacular show. From our area, the pair will become visible at around 4:59 p.m. at 31 degrees above your southwestern horizon as dusk fades to darkness. They will then sink towards the horizon, setting 3 hours and 51 minutes after the sun at 8:31 p.m. The moon will be at magnitude minus 10.7 and Venus at magnitude 4.4, both in the constellation Aquarius. This is projected to be a good, this is projected to be a good shower, which is expected to reach peak activity around 11 o'clock on January 3rd, 2025. And so is best displayed, it might be seen before dawn on the 23rd or just after dusk on the same day. From our area, the radiance of the shower will appear at peak altitude of 71 degrees above your horizon. And on that basis, we expect you may be able to see as much as 113 meteors per hour at shower's peak. Again, this is conditional on the darkness of the skies, as always. January 4th, the Earth will reach its closest point to the sun called perihelion. At that point, it will only be 91.4 million miles from the sun. On July 5th of this year, the sun reached its aphelion, at which point the Earth was farthest from the sun at 94.5 million miles. The moon and Saturn will make a close approach, also called in a pulse, on January 4th, passing within a mere 36.3 arc minutes of each other. From our area, the pair will become visible at around 5:22 p.m., 37 degrees above the southwestern horizon. They will set around 9:38 p.m. The moon will be at magnitude minus 11.3, and Saturn will be at magnitude 0.9. Both objects will lie in the constellation Aquarius. At this time, the moon and Saturn will share the same right ascension, with the moon passing 40 degrees to the north of Saturn. the moon will be 5 days old. The exact moment of the first quarter is defined as the time when the moon's ecliptic, pardon me, the moon's ecliptic longitude is exactly 90 degrees away from the sun. Ecliptic longitude as observed from the center of the earth. However, the moon does not appear in any way special at this instant. At that moment, the moon's distance from the earth is 229,907.266 miles. The first quarter of the moon of the new year will rise on January 6th at 11:17 a.m. and will set 18 minutes past midnight on the 7th. The moon will reach the closest point along its orbit to the Earth and will appear slightly larger on January 6th. As the moon traverses its path around the Earth, each month the distance varies by 14 degrees between 221,518.76 miles at perigee, closest approach to the Earth, and 406,000, I'm sorry, that's in kilometers, 252,711.57 miles at apogee, furthest point from the Earth. Since I know Frank is going to take up more of this next month, and I think Steve is going to chew into some of the activities happening towards the middle and end of the month, I wanted to give you a preview of the rest of the month. You can observe this by clicking on inthesky.org and then the first tab and go to the events calendar. Flash, Dale, and I wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and good night. Thank you again for your attention to this presentation.